Hello, everyone. I'm so excited today to welcome Challenor to the masterclass. So, I would love for you to introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about you and what you do.
Fabulous. And thank you so much for inviting me, Nikki. I am excited with what we've got in store for today for the audience. I am a channeler, which is I'm reminded by my surname, and I was only reminded by this in the last 12 months working with my coach, Adrian, who said, "Well, this is what you're meant to be doing, channeling information," which I have done. I do, and it comes relatively easy. However, I haven't done this all my life. I actually have a day job. So I'm an executive assistant for two directors in a department. So keeps me busy, but different type of work from this work. I have been in the healing space for, I'm going to say 20 years or so. And what happened is started with my parents passing when I was 14 and 17. And I made a decision about my late teens, early 20s, that was their journey, not mine. So I had to make sense of it. So I thought, oh, why me? Blah, blah, blah. So that was how I've come about. So I've been on a mission for most of my life to find quick and easy tools and modalities to help people address their emotional issues, but to get to the core of it easily and quickly. I went back and went back to university and did a psychology major. So I wanted the credibility. And what I learned from that is, no disrespect to the field, that a lot of coaching or counseling can go on for years and years and years. And I thought, oh God. Um, I so I thought, oh right, that's not me. I need to find something quick and easy. So get to the issue, move on. Either move on for another client or move on for another issue. But in saying that, I'm going to say reflection. And I've been doing healing work for myself for years and years and years, but I haven't been with the same practitioner. I've worked with different people as I've shifted and grown. I've resonated with different people as practitioners and healers. So as you grow, you'll find you'll need to have different people. You can't just stay stuck like with the same person. So it's been a colourful journey. I'm still on it. Um, in the last 12, 18 months, I've specifically been working on healing my heart. And that has been phenomenal because Adrian says that the energy and frequency of love is the same as money. So I thought, okay. So she's saying, heal your heart first and everything will come. Well, I've had a few pinnacle moments in this healing my heart journey, but it's been phenomenal because it's cleared out a whole lot of ancestral, family lineage, hurt, pain in my life. And what I've also found is in my family, ancestrally, to be seen and heard ends up in death of some description. So I thought, that's interesting. So we've cleared all that. So it is a journey, and I feel just if you're watching this and you're part of the masterclass, keep on looking after yourself is what I'm going to say. It is a journey. We are big onions. I'm a gigantic one right out here, and layer upon layer. And the deeper you go, the deeper the healing and the shift. Would you agree, Nikki?
I absolutely agree. And this is something that we were going to touch upon in our conversation today because you have been working on your heart. So I'm sure a lot of women are curious, well, what is it that I have to do and how do I maintain this love? So I would love to hear a little bit about your background. Have you ever been in a relationship before and where are you currently now?
Great question, Nikki. I have been in relationships and I've had several. I had a 10-year relationship. It also was a 2.25 year marriage. And it was an on-off relationship. And what happened was I went to a clairvoyant because I was into go to those. And she said that in this particular year, she said at the end of the year, which is when your birthday, you'll know who your husband is. So I thought, okay, right. And my sister reminded me of this many years ago. Oh, you went to so we were having it was on off. Like And I sort of got to the point saying, look, we're either going to go together and get married and go down that track, or we're going to split up and that's it. See you later. So it wasn't an ultimatum, but a choice had to be made because we'd be living together, then he'd move out, living together, move out. So we went down the marriage track. And we had a busy year leading up to the marriage, which was in September. Sold, renovated, sold, and bought a house, and then got married, and yeah, and I had enough of my job, so I quit that. So it was a busy, big year. But what happened was, it wasn't till into the marriage, it's like we got married, and I was like his chattel. Like he thought he could do anything and whatever he wanted, and I'd be there. And I was. It wasn't really good. And the first year of the marriage was just recovering after the year before and just taking it easy, and sort of relaxing. And I also noticed, because I was doing some healing work, I was doing Louise Hay teacher training. So I was shifting and moving, and I came to the conclusion pretty early in that first year, I'm growing faster than him. Even though
Mm.
he's younger than me by a few years, he's acting like he's an old man. Like, and I just thought, wow, we're not growing and developing on the same pace. And then the second year of marriage, I found it very difficult to find a Valentine's card, but also an anniversary card. Because and also what had happened in that time of being married, it was a lot of like an emotional roller coaster. And it wasn't until I know I was in a bookshop and I got a book about codependency, and that this relationship was codependent. It wasn't until years later, like even doing this healing, that I realized, well, he was a narcissist and I was the people pleaser. And I was wanting to keep things happy and working and fix this and do that. And let's do coaching and counseling, and which we did after the marriage broke up. And then I found he had Asperger's, because on the checklist that he said to tick everything off, which then explained some of the behaviors. So it was really tumultuous, emotional marriage, and it was escalating. So as it was escalating, I was getting deeper and deeper into my connecting to source, connecting to angels, connecting to a power bigger than me to give me some inner strength and the guidance. So that's when I went to angel cards and tarot cards, and I was running meditation classes at the time. And sometimes, because I've got a studio at the back of my house, we'd have an argument just before the class. So I don't know whether what was going on in his head, but I still then had to front up and pretend everything's lovely and run a class. So it was very interesting. And I also will say, in my relationship history over the years, I've always attracted or gone for unavailable men.
Mm.
So, and now it's only in the last, I don't know, a couple of years I realised why. So I don't know if you want me to tell you about that, or if you want to ask me a question.
Yeah, well, thank you for sharing your previous experience. And so now in your current life, you talked about in the beginning staying true to yourself, right? So you had mentioned in your previous relationship, you compromising who you were, or like you it sounded like you were compromising some aspect of you to be in that relationship, because you had mentioned you grew so fast out of that relationship, but you stayed regardless.
Yes, yes. And I stayed because I thought working on my marriage, and if I left, I'd feel a failure. I thought, oh my God, failed at this marriage by being divorced. And I just, yeah, lost myself. And it happened over time. It wasn't just one day myself. I also found every time I opened up and became vulnerable, that would get landed in my face in an argument, or like he'd make fun of what I say. So I started to shut down and not say things because it would just get used against me.
Mm,
And it was also like a tit for tat, like the scorecard was happening a lot of the time. And it just, yeah, it was easier to say nothing. And he didn't understand the spiritual work and aspect of things. And sometimes, mock me at what, and like, oh, when are you going to bring in some money for your business? And when are you going to do this and do that? And oh, you have to work. And so it like he'd throw my mobile phone in the garden or something, having an argument. Like it was really emotionally charged. But then the beginning of it, there was that passion. That was sort of in some ways he made me laugh, and there was that passion, but it sort of just went in waves. So now I'm single, and I have been for several years because it's safer to be single for me, and I put my energy into building my business and doing the healing work and building myself, like really rebuilding. And I have had relationships since that marriage breakdown, but nothing substantial, because these people in some ways were unavailable, or they weren't available to me emotionally.
mm. Uh, I I can hear some of those things. I Part of what I do is I teach attachment in childhood, and so I want to know, like, did you have emotionally available parents when you were younger?
Good question, Nikki. I think so, but then I think not. I had, I'd say, a happy childhood until I was 11-ish, 11 or 12. And that's when I saw my mum. That's when she was started to get ill, and she, like the passing. But then again, now that you're asking, at times she was like, went back to uni and she was studying and she was working and doing things. So on some level, maybe there wasn't that connection. It was like when I was younger, I imagine like watching her cook and being part of doing cooking and things like that. Same with my dad. He was always busy, had his job, but he would also be out renovating houses. Sometimes I'd watch him do stuff, fixing things. And he helped me do like drawings and colorings and things like that. So there was that, but it depends on how much more. Maybe they weren't that emotionally connected all the time.
Because one of the things I notice when it comes to relationships, the patterns repeat. And so when you're drawn to like emotionally unavailable people, it's because it mimics what you experienced in childhood. So if
Mm.
you didn't have the experience of parents who were emotionally available to you, you would repeat the same pattern in a romantic relationship. And it would feel like, oh, wow, it feels like the same type of love I received when I was younger. This must be what love is. When in fact, it's like, well, not necessarily, because from the very beginning, you never experienced what real love is. So, how would you know when you grew up?
Good question. However, what it boils down to is both my parents left me. And this is where I made the decision, particularly when I was like 18 or 19. How can I trust a man? My dad left me because he passed away, and it was a sudden heart attack. So, and a heart attack is all about a broken heart. So he had a broken heart because he missed my mother, because she went a few years earlier through illness. So and this decision way back then has only been healed at the end of last year or early this year, because I'm thinking, oh, a man's not good enough. He doesn't take care of me. My dad was pretty good at doing things. So I like someone who's practical. So in saying that, I hadn't been open to receive it, because there was a fellow who did want to make me happy and do things, but I wasn't used to that. And that was like a few years ago. So it is about that feeling that how can I trust someone when the main caretaker, my dad, passed away suddenly and left me. Um, so that is where it stems from, and it's having that awareness, which, as I say, has only come in recently, and it makes so much sense. But now that's healed, and even like my mum left me, like I was getting to be like her best friend, or we were becoming friends and doing things. So she left me. And then my sister and I had a very strong relationship, and we were like, peas in a pod, had each other's back. 2008, she left me because she passed over. So all my significant people have left me. And so even though I might have had that love in the beginning when I was younger in those formative years, it's those mid teenage years that have made the impact that I have carried with me. And I wasn't even aware that I was doing it. I just knew, like, I did have a relationship with someone, and I did know that he was unavailable, but it wasn't a sexual one, but there was an emotional attachment. But he was older, and he was like the same age that my dad was when he passed. And I was a lot older, but I just thought that was that relationship. So I was aware of doing that. So it is amazing what happens in those formative years, but also, even up until 20, that can still be carried through into your adult life or into my adult life.
That's fascinating because that it brings forth the where it stems from. The origination for you was a loved one that you really care about, your caretaker passed and wasn't able to be there for you. So the underlying was love is attached to people leaving you. And so that was the belief that love is connected to somebody leaving you. And so
Yeah.
choosing an emotionally unavailable partner is really coming from the heart of protection of like, it's okay if he leaves me because I'm not choosing someone who's emotionally available to me in the first place. Does that resonate? Is that what I'm hearing
Yeah,
correctly?
totally, Nikki. And so, and emotional, like having these fantasy relationships. Look, I can laugh about it now, but I have done it for a long time. And it is protection. It is definitely protection. I don't want to be hurt again. And like the marriage breakdown, there was betrayal. So there was mistrust. So that came into it as well. So that has been, in the background of my mind. I don't want to be treated that way. And, trusting someone, trusting a man. But in saying all this, it's all being healed and worked upon, and having that awareness is part of the healing. And in a way, it's part of the first step of the healing. So even if someone's listening to this saying, "Oh my God, I've been through this," I'm here to say there's hope. Don't worry. Once you're aware of it, then you can take actions and address what's really going on. And I wasn't aware until recently about all this family lineage stuff, that
Mm.
it's not safe to be seen and heard.
Can you
So
share
that
about that too? Where did you know where it came from about the not feeling seen and heard?
from memory, it was several generations ago, and it's more on my mother's side, and I'm still healing things on my, both sides, but it was mainly on my mother's side of the family, but it goes back several times over several generations.
Oh wow! And so being able to heal that, you feel comfortable being seen and heard. And when it wasn't healed, it was like, what was that like? Were you unable to like speak up?
Yes, I can't speak up. Whereas now in the office, I'm speaking up quite a lot, and people are surprised. And also in my family, like I didn't get good Christmas presents last year, so I spoke up. And my brother and his wife didn't like that. My wife, his wife in particular. So I said to them, I said, "This is the third year in a row I've got this thing. I don't want it because I don't need it, and I have to keep regifting it." So they didn't like, I said, "I'm speaking up." Now, "Why didn't you tell us earlier?" I said, "Well, I'm telling you now because I've got this same thing 3 times in a row, 3 years in a row." So, they're saying speak up, they're not liking what they're hearing. And I'm not saying anything that's nasty. So it's really interesting. So the confidence has come up. I'm more confident. I am speaking my truth or how I feel. Like even during the week, I had to we had hot weather and I didn't want to come into the office because I was worried about getting heat stroke and the public transport not working on the way home. So I had to have it, like, not an argument. I did a whole lot of research, and I even wrote to my boss to say, I'm putting myself first. I am my number one priority. And I'm happy to take a day off without a certificate, and I'm happy to work from home because we've got flexible working. So, and I spoke to several like health and wellbeing people within the department, and I'm a health wellbeing representative. So anyway, she wrote back and said, I didn't think you felt so strongly about it. I'll make an exception in this situation and yeah, work from home. But I thought, my God, I had to go through a lot of effort and time and hours on Monday to do the research and speak my mind and speak up. Because sometimes I might have just gone in and I thought, no, like something shifted in a big way, Nikki, that I'm not going to go and put myself in a situation that is going to put me in an uncomfortable situation. I could be sick, or the heat is dry, hot heat, and it's too much. And the trains did pack up on half the lines because power poles went down because they had wind and rain. So I thought, I'm glad I stayed home. So as I say, they're not used to me speaking up and saying, hey, I'm here and this is what I want to do. And the department line is the number one priority is the health and well-being of their staff. So I'm glad I was able to share that with my boss.
Yeah, that sounds fantastic. And so you had mentioned about like keeping an identity in your relationship while you're maintaining a relationship. And I'd love to tune into that a little bit more as well. How does one, I would say, like, how does one maintain their identity while they're in a relationship and still make it like work, right? It's a partnership, but you still have your own individual needs.
Well, this is about my topic about self-love. And I'm going to say it's all about putting yourself first. You need to put yourself first in the relationship. You need to put yourself first everywhere. Put the oxygen mask on yourself first. You can't help anyone unless you've got the oxygen mask on yourself. So in a relationship, I'm going to say it's the same thing because this is my take on a relationship. You've got one person, you've got two people, a second person. They need their identity and they need their identity. And then together you've got what you bring to the relationship. So you've got the two of you together, working together. So I'm going to keep on doing the healing work that I do because that's my belief, and keep unpacking and doing the layers. I'm hoping that the partner that I end up with will be on that same page to do their own growth work or to be open to it and to be part of that. And they will be doing things together because I'm not going to be a people pleaser. And the thing is, I've also learned by doing relationship coaching, counseling, whatever, that men love to make the woman happy. So if I step back and be my feminine energy, he can step forward and do the make me happy things. And this fellow that I was with a few years ago now wanted to do that. And I couldn't sort of articulate what I wanted. In some ways, I thought he was a bit weak because he was waiting for me to make the decisions. But I would want someone that makes decisions because they want to see me happy or something that they do lights them up. And
Mm,
I'm even going to say in my relationship with my marriage, he did sort of want to try and make me happy, but I just didn't see it. So my philosophy is you've got to put yourself first. And we haven't been taught that. Particularly as women, it's put everyone else first and you're last, and everyone becomes before you because you've got to care for your husband or your partner, your children, and your parents and everyone else. So I'm twisting that around this time that I'm number one, I'm first, and then he's first in his world, and then we come together, and our relationship is what comes first. And it's all about self-love and keep on doing things that make you happy and finding your voice. Like it really is a big thing to be able to have your voice and share your voice. And even that's filtered off into the workplace because my boss had an idea to get everyone to give their opinions on things because she said, I want people to feel heard. So I thought, she listens to what I say. And because it's important about feeling heard. And that's part of what my experience has been. I haven't felt heard.
Yeah, and there's some golden nuggets I want to pick out just to highlight for
Mhm.
everyone who's listening. One of the things that I hear you say is being able to put your needs first, mainly because if, in a relationship you neglect your own needs, you're not going to end up fulfilled or happy. And it turns to um, trying to expect your partner to fulfill those needs or make you happy. And that's like an external desire for someone, something outside of you to make you happy, which will never happen. So when you say take care of yourself, it's really like, are you complete and happy in your own life? Are you complete and happy within you? Because now you get to show up whole in your relationship. Like you get to show up full and you can pour love into other people. The second thing I heard from you is the man loves to please a woman. And it really is about being in the feminine. When you're in the feminine and you're excited and you're happy and you're joyful, the man is really the provider. And this is in our DNA, right? This is just how we're wired. The man
Mm.
is the provider, the security, the protector. And for him to see his woman happy and joyful, he wants to provide for you. So it
Mm.
shouldn't make sense for you to beg and ask and plead for him to love you. It's part of his DNA, his desire to want to give to you.
Totally. And as you were just talking now, I thought when before you're in a relationship, you are whole and happy, and you're putting your best foot forward to attract that person in the first place. So you really can't let yourself down by, oh, I've got him now. Oh, I can just, you know, let myself go, because that's not what he's signing up for, and you're not signing up for that for him if he's letting himself go, because you're both attracted to each other because you're high vibe, you're on the same vibration. You meet, you're attracted, and then you decide, yeah, I'm going to have a relationship. But you've got to maintain that high vibe, and so you've got to maintain what makes you happy. You've got to maintain that. If you're one that takes care of your looks and your health, you've got to keep doing that. You just don't think, oh, I've got him now, and let yourself go, because that's not going to last. And it is, and I think it is a bit of a Western way of thinking that once you're in that relationship, this man or this woman is going to provide everything for their partner that makes them happy. You're right, Nikki. It's not. That's too much responsibility.
Oh my
You
God,
just
yeah.
And I just feel we all need to be responsible for our own happiness and our own well-being and what makes us happy and high vibe. Because you just want to be high vibe and have like an even better life. Because you've got two high vibes that were single coming together. Wow, kapang, having double high vibes. So it just puts out the vibration to the universe to bring in more good stuff. And it has been a lesson to learn to sit back and just wait and let someone do something. And it's not necessarily in my timing. That was another thing. I was a bit impatient. It's got to be in their timing as well, that when they're ready, because you don't want to be forcing someone to do something. They've got to be wanting to do it genuinely from their heart space. And it will be in their timing because we're not all running on the same time frame.
Mm.
Because,
I would like to add to that too, because sometimes, when does one person know that they're waiting around too long, right? Because if you're always waiting on another person, that is also kind of neglecting taking care of you, which you had mentioned is important. So when do
mm,
you know when to let go and when to actually say, hey, I'm gonna put an ultimatum, like if you want to commit to me, I want a relationship now and I would like the commitment.
good question, because that is putting it on. But I would imagine like you'd be having conversations and you'd be gauging with each other. How are things going? You know, maybe it's still in the early days. Some people are a slow burn. I'm watching that on these marriage relationship shows. Um, it's a matter of having that conversation. And I just feel that when it feels right, that's when it's going to be go. Like I was the same. This was on and off and on and off, and I was getting sick of the pattern of, what, like, with a fellow to commit. And I just feel, and I also think maybe he just said it because it was an easier option. I don't know. But you can't keep waiting forever. You've got to have that conversation, and you've got to do things that will let your partner know that you're interested, and he would have to do things to let you know. Like you can't sit and wait. I agree.
Mhm.
And I feel there'd be maybe in your own mind, you might say after 4 weeks of just dating, like catching up, are we wanting to be serious, or whether it's a bit longer? Like you'd have to ask your heart. And then if it's longer, when are we going to the next level of commitment? Because, like they say, when it's really meant to be, it happens quickly. You just have that knowing. So if you're not having that quick knowing, well, maybe he's not the one or she's not the one.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I always, one of the things is like when they know, and when they want to commit, they'll commit. So if it's on and off, there's something in them that doesn't want to commit, and that's something
Mm,
very important to look at. It's not something to just kind of brush off and say, oh, that's not a red flag, because there's something in there that's like, oh, well, they don't actually want to commit. And is this really what I want? And you want a man who fully commits to you.
mm,
And being okay with saying that's not in alignment with what I'm looking for. And holding yourself up at that vibration of what you want to experience and moving on to the next one.
mm,
You don't want to waste their time, and you don't want to waste your time either.
mm. Exactly. And
Yeah,
I look now, I wouldn't be attracting that person in the first place with where I'm at now. And I wouldn't be
exactly.
tolerating all that on and off where I am now. Because back then I, was more of a people please. And I also feel it was connected with the codependency because
Mhm.
there was that some fire and ignition that had to be with each other. And then if we weren't, there'd be some negative feeling, like if one was doing one thing, the other one would be upset. And so it was all ingrained in that energetic relationship and where we were both at.
And that's so important you mentioned, because of the healing, that's something you wouldn't even be interested in. And you wouldn't even look twice at. That's so unattractive to you now.
Mm, exactly. And just having the boundaries, the clearer boundaries to say, okay, this is not, I'm not tolerating this. This
Yeah.
is not acceptable. Whereas it was my sister who was flagging with me, as the marriage was breaking down, it was breaking down emotionally, but the abuse was emotional. And I didn't realize till afterwards, but it was also escalating towards physical abuse. So that's when she was saying, well, you better get out or do something. Otherwise, you're not going to be around, sort of feeling. Um, so that I had to like move it along a bit. But then once the information came that he was having an affair and living a double life, in a town 3 hours away from me, um, that sort of was what I was waiting for, that confirmation that would all come out in the air, and it did. But there was no remorse. Like he didn't even tell me. Someone rang out of the blue and explained. And then when I said that to him, well, you know what's happened. So I just thought, wow, like even the ending of it was pretty bad. And then we were under the same roof for several months, but that's when it was escalating, this, you know, anger and treating each other badly.
Mm.
So, but it is about having the healing and to set your boundaries.
Well, thank you for sharing your experience so vulnerably, because I'm sure a lot of people can pick and see from the story, oh, I kind of resonate with that experience. And oh, I see how you're moving through that experience, how you're going to heal and attract the one for you. And I know you have a special healing for us today. I'd love to ask, what kind of healing is it? And if you can demonstrate for us.
I'd love to, Nikki. Now, this is part of, I've done a lot of work with neuro-linguistic programming, which is NLP. So this is an exercise that's called a parts integration. So you use it when you might have one part of you that wants something and another part of you that doesn't want something. So the whole idea of the exercise is that the two parts magically come together and both parts want the same thing. So it's a matter of, that same thing that they want, you put into your heart and make you whole and complete with it. So that's the essence of what we're going to do. And it's really easy. It doesn't take long. Watch it. You can do it for anything, whether it's a relationship related thing, it could be a work thing, or making a decision. Just check in and that the parts do want the same thing. They do, is my experience. So Nikki, what two things, because you're going to be the person demonstrating, so what part of you wants something, or tell me what that is.
So for me, I want to have a thriving business, and I also want to have a beautiful, thriving marriage. And and the resistance that comes up is I don't want to compromise having to choose one over the other.
Perfect. Perfect. So what I want you to do is imagine, I pull out whichever hand you want to be. So the part that is the thriving business, I want you to pull out maybe your right hand. And I put it as a flat hand, like you're going to receive something. So imagine in that hand, what does this part look like? What color is it? And does it have a name?
It's like a beautiful pink orb energy.
Mm-hmm. And what size orb? Is it like a pea or a golf ball or a basketball?
Yeah, like a tennis ball.
Tennis ball, fabulous. And does the pink orb have a name?
Luxury.
Luxury, fantastic. Okay, I'm just making little notes here so I can. Now, on the second hand, your left hand, pull that out. And this is the thriving marriage. So what I'm doing this myself, just so people can see. So the left hand is the thriving marriage. So what color or what shape does that look like, and what name would you call it?
Mm, like a blue energy. And it's in the,
Blue.
yeah, and it's in the shape of like my husband and my kids and me, all wrapped up in blue.
Okay, so I'm just going to say husband, family. So is it in a blue bubble, or is it a blue sheet of material or chiffon or something?
It's like our outline, like our family outline is in blue.
Okay, fantastic. And what size is this family outline? Is it going to be like the tennis ball? Is it going to be a basketball, or an oval or something?
Yeah, it's like the size of my palm, so just like the size of a tennis ball as well.
Okay, fantastic. All right, so I want you to talk to the part about the thriving business. And I want you to ask that part, the thriving business part, what is it really wanting? Like, you're wanting to have a thriving business, and it's in a blue, it's a pink orb, and it's a tennis ball, and it's luxury. What is the reason for having a thriving business? See what this part of you tells you.
Yeah, it's my heart's desire to help people and be supported in life through my gifts.
Fabulous. That is such a great aspiration and intention. So I want you to ask the blue part of you, the husband, your family, what is the intention for this? having a thriving marriage?
Is feeling the love, the connection, and being able to be there for my children and spending quality time together with them.
Perfect. Great intention as well. So I want you to put your hands out in front of you and I want you to put them on their sides, like you're going to bring them together. So show the audience, yeah. So I want you to keep thinking of, you've got your pink part of the thriving business, you've got your blue part of the thriving marriage. And that they're basically just tune in, because part of the parts, they want the same thing, that you're wanting to be loved, and just bring those hands together. Just watch them move in as they're joining in, because both of them are coming from your heart space and they're both wanting to have that love recognition, helping each other, having love and having that package. And wow, they've come together. So what I'm that is meaning that the parts are both wanting the same thing, because they're both coming from the heart space. So even though so I want you to imagine, imagine the pink and the blue, the tennis balls have merged together and they're making purple. So it's now a purple tennis ball. So I want you to then cup those hands together with the purple tennis ball and put that purple tennis ball into your heart space. And just feel into this purple tennis ball of having a thriving business, helping others, and having a thriving marriage, helping your family. And it's all wrapped up in love, the intention of love. And I want you to feel that love in your heart and immersing that purple tennis ball into your heart space. And then when you're done, come back to the space and open your eyes.
Wow, thank you so much. I feel my heart pounding right now.
That's so cool, Nikki. Because yeah, the point is that it's all around having love. And so do you feel there's a conflict? Like, how do you feel about having a thriving business?
It feels really good because it feels like I don't have to compromise one or the other. I can have both. As energy flows through one aspect of me, I'm able to pour that into the other aspect of me with my marriage and my family and being able to spend time with them. So I feel supported through one, and then I can pour more love and energy into another aspect.
Cool. So now I'm going to ask the same question. How do you feel about your thriving marriage?
I feel really good about it. It feels like they're my safety, my security, my rock, and that I have a home to return to, and I can provide for them, which is like, yes.
That's fantastic. That's cool, because you've got the love coming from both. Like the love that you have for your business feeds into the love for your family. The love you have for your family feeds into the energy and frequency for your business. So they're all on the same, like it's what I said, they're on the same page. Love is the answer, and love is what is healing. And love is what we're sending out to each and every person that we touch, either energetically or physically.
Thank you so much for that healing diet. That was fantastic. Or the parts integration
Mm.
exercise. Thank you so much. And as we wrap up today, I would love to know your free gift for the audience members tuning in.
My pleasure. It is a guided meditation with insights and messages from angels and source. So it's about 17 minutes and it's relevant for everyone who watches. So it just gives you that feeling that you are connected, you're at the right place and time, and that you're supported and loved.
Wonderful. And where can we find you? Do you have a website that the audience members can find you at?
Yeah, I do have, my website is my landing page. So when you click the link to get the free gift, you'll go to my landing page. So it's Challenor.com, and it gives you all the details. And if you want to book sessions, there's a diachallenor.com payment portal, which gives you different sessions that you can book in with me, or info@diachallenor.com. You can email me and connect. But get the free gift and join my list, because I've got lots of events and free things and workshops that you can participate in. So it's diachallenor.com.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Di, for tuning in. Thank you, everyone else, for tuning in. I will see you guys in the next workshop.